Awesome. How you doing, everybody out in Breakaway land? It's BerserkerMIke here, and I'm joined by Creative Director of Breakaway, Zin Ramu, and we have some awesome changes that we want to talk to you about that are upcoming in Breakaway. So Dave, can you tell us about what these changes are, but more importantly, what are the goals of these changes?
Yeah, so Mike, we've made a considerable amount of changes that we'll run through in a bit, but before then, let's talk about why we made these changes. I think there's three big things we were trying to do. One, we've heard feedback from players that it can be frustrating to hold the Relic, right? They get it shot out of their hands immediately and it just doesn't feel fun. So we wanted to really take a look at that interaction and make running with the Relic feel more powerful, like you're in control. Second, we want to integrate combat and Relic running a little bit more. In the past, we've heard, hey, they feel like two separate games, so we wanted them to feed off each other a little bit more and be better integrated. Second, we wanted to give people a little more control over their characters, and we've made some changes in the way you run with the Relic in combat to really give people a little more fine-tuned control that should also allow the skill gap to sort of really be evident in expert players versus newer players.
Well, it sounds like really good goals to have. Let's go ahead and jump into software and let's step through these specific changes that have been made and that you guys are going to actually play upcoming.
Let's do it.
To our honored opponents, a glorious death.
All right, Dave, now we're in game and we're with Argus. Now let's check out some of these brand new mechanics. So step us through. Now, how do I go about picking up the Relic?
Yeah, so we'll start there. We've changed that pretty much completely. So in the past, whenever you ran over the Relic, you automatically picked it up. And that had some benefits, but one of the things we heard is that it had caused people to pick up the Relic when they weren't expecting it. They would be trying to fight around it, and they would automatically pick it up, or someone would pass it to them when they weren't expecting. So what we've done now is to make it a manual action to pick it up. So you'll see when you get real near the Relic, you'll see this pop-up that comes up, pick up, hit right mouse button. So when you get near it, now you have to hit right mouse button to pick it up. And then once you do that, it's now in your control. So you can control when you want it and when you don't want it, so you can fight around it, which is pretty interesting.
Now, Dave, I'm starting to see something really amazing when you pick up the Relic. Now, what is that orb, that glowing orb around you when you pick it up?
Yep, so this is the second big change we made. This is called the Relic Shield. So you'll see that there's 2 meters around the Relic, the red one and the blue one. The blue one is your team's shield meter, and the red one is the enemy team's shield meter. So when you have this Relic, when you have this shield meter around you, you'll see that when Gucci hits me here, I don't drop the ball. Instead, the meter goes down and down. The hit that knocks the shield meter to 0, though, will knock the Relic out. So there you see my shield gets busted and I drop the ball.
So what happens again if you try to pick it up when it's already at 0?
So when it's at 0 and you pick it up, you're taking a higher risk. We call that the 0 Relic ball, right? So there you'll take extra damage and you'll play a more severe reaction. So it behooves you as a player to sort of let the shield meter build up again if you want to be a little bit more safe. But we didn't want to eliminate the possibility. If people want to be risky and sort of run with the ball, they can when it's at 0 shield.
Got it!
You'll also notice that when you throw now, it does cost shield meter, so there is some cost to that.
So no longer the whole
the jump
hot potato,
throw.
the jump throw.
Exactly.
So new strategies are evolving.
Yeah.
But we did see that throw. Has the throw evolved as well?
Yeah, the throw has evolved. So we felt the throw was a little bit slow in the past, and it was also the one mechanic that didn't sort of work with the reticle. It still had those old lines, if you remember. So now instead, when you throw, it always goes to the reticle position, and it's an immediate and quick throw. So we think people will find this a little more intuitive. It's easier for new players to understand. The one big change, though, is that you can't charge it anymore. So that's the one difference with it.
So now let's kind of go back to the shield. So now I'm holding it, but now when it gets bumped out of my hands, what happens to the Relic?
Yeah, so let's go to, let's pretend I'm almost about to score. So I'm getting very close to the enemy relay here. And then Gucci's going to knock the Relic out of my hand by eliminating the shield. And you'll notice it went flying back considerably. So this is something that we've added, and we call it Relic Wind. So what Relic Wind is the idea when the ball is fumbled, the Relic is fumbled, it will go away from your portal. And what this does is give a little bit of an advantage to the defensive team, right? Because with some of the changes with the Relic shield, the throw being a little bit faster, offense has got a lot of buffs here, right? Like running with the relay has become easier. So this is a way for defenders to have sort of an opportunity to help, defend their base.
So now that we've seen like a new interaction for picking up the Relic, a new way to throw the Relic, what's happened to actually scoring?
So I'm going to show you something here. I'm going to shoot like this, and you'll notice I did not score. Well, so
what happened, Dave?
Well, so now whenever you throw, you have to have the Relic actually land in the relay portal to score, so you can't just shoot over it. So this adds a little bit more skill to offense, and it gives defense a chance to defend the portal a little bit easier.
So, but can I still run it in?
You can definitely still run it in. This just affects throwing it in. It makes it a little bit more skillful and all.
So inherently, this is a nerf to Kyra players that try to use the Godspeed.
Yes, this is a nerf. You can definitely still do it, but you have to be a little bit more skillful in your aim now.
So there we go. So high skilled move, no longer a nerf, but you're not getting it for free if you can pull it off. So Dave, we've talked a lot about the main kind of scoring objective. What have happened to the side objectives as we get back into the match?
So you'll notice we just started the match, and there are no buff crystals yet. So one of the things we did, we made two big changes to the buffs. One is we no longer spawn them at the start of the match. Instead, we wait till 30 seconds to spawn the damage buff, and then 45 seconds to spawn the health buff. And what this does is it should give the advantage to the team that's pushing, right? Because if you've got the Relic up here, their team is going to be behind the Relic, making it easier for you to turn around and go, oh, I want to go get the buff. So we hope that by delaying it, it gives positional advantage to the team that is pushing the Relic. The second change we made is that we made the buff crystals more valuable. They impart a bigger buff, but that buff lasts for a short amount of time, 45 seconds. So what it does is sort of create more of a play-based game. We hope that when you get this, you get a very dramatic advantage, but it lasts less time, so you got to take advantage of it. You got to like call plays. And it also allows them to spawn multiple times per round, so that you have to be wary of the buffs and play that as a part of your strategy the whole round, not just at the start.
So will they ever stack, or are they always staggered out? So once that minute starts, and then you have that buff, and then it expires, then it triggers the next set.
Great question. So they will never stack. Right now I have red buff. It'll last 45 seconds, and then once the buff is done, 20 seconds later the next one will spawn. So they'll never stack. There's always that time in the middle that the other team can try to catch up in position for the next buff fight.
And just to clarify, you can still grab both buffs.
Yep.
But you cannot stack a single.
You cannot stack a single, but you can grab red or green. And the team, if you ever get both of them, it really puts the other team on their heels.
So it looks like we've invested a lot of time into Relic possession, picking up the Relic, moving the Relic, some meta changes with the buffs. What have we done to primary combat?
Good question. So combat, we've definitely made some changes. There's three big ones. The first one is when you attack and move, the amount you slow down has been dramatically reduced for melee characters, especially the fighters. So you'll see I still have very good movement as I'm moving around and attacking. Tanks have a little bit more slowdown, but you see Gucci here, he still has pretty good mobility as he's attacking. So we really wanted the fluidity and speed of combat to really feel good. The second big change I can't show you here, but it's for projectile characters. Projectile speeds have been increased across the board. So characters like Kyra, Alona, Corinne, all characters with projectiles have been sped up considerably. So that should make aiming and shooting much more reliable and feel more like it does in other games. So I think people like that. And then the third change is that basic attacks themselves have been increased in damage. So the amount of damage you do for basic attacks has been increased quite a bit to make them more useful. And all damage has been tweaked up a little bit. So we wanted damage and kills to be a larger part of the game.
Now, rumor has it, lastly, that there's been a couple adjustments to the way buildables work and the duration of the respawn time.
Yeah, so if Gucci builds a buildable here, well, he's not a projectile character, but one of the things that can happen now is that people with projectiles can shoot through buildables. So this will make it easier for the defensive team to protect their own buildables, because in the past, melee would sort of, skirt around them and protect themselves as they're trying to kill it. So that change I just got a team wipe, nice. That change will make defending your own buildables way stronger and should give defense a bit of an advantage. The other change, like you mentioned, is with respawn timers. So your initial death is still a 10-second respawn as usual, but subsequent deaths now are +7 seconds rather than +5, so it'll be 17, 24. The reason we did that is we wanted kills to be more meaningful in the later part of rounds, so that the combat gave an advantage to the teams that wanted to push or defend.
So if you get caught out YOLO, you're really putting a disadvantage to your team, especially if you just keep stacking those deaths.
Absolutely, yeah.
So we talked a little bit about the Relic shield, but let's get into a little bit more specifics. What actually occurs to your player as they're running with the Relic?
Great question, so I'll show it here. One, you'll notice that your speed while running with the Relic has been increased slightly from the old build, so you run faster with it initially when you have it. But now let's have Gucci hit me once here. You'll notice that with each hit, I slow down a little bit. Maybe this time he'll just hit me one time, and we can see the change. So running fast. And you'll notice there's a bit of a slowdown. Each subsequent hit adds more slowdown, and it increases the damage a little bit. So running is initially faster when you've got the Relic, but then as you get hit, you slow down.
So one other thing I see up above in the UI is we have this shield meter for both sides. So both teams have an independent meter. Now, it starts off at 100 at the first round. Does this change over time?
Yeah, so every round we add 20 to the max shield, so that by round 5 it's 180. And that's because, damage is increasing and we want the game to sort of get a little bit more interesting and crazy in the later rounds.
Now, Dave, has anything else happened with mobility, like the sliding mechanic?
Yeah, so Gucci's got the Relic here, and you'll notice that when he slides with the Relic, he's a little bit slower than he used to be, and that's because with the shield and some of these changes, offense has gotten a little bit stronger, and the slide in Aros here is a little bit of a strong one from the Ziggurats up here, so you can still make the jump, but now the timing is very tight. So we wanted to, reduce the mobility with. You see, you just made that one. Nice jump, Gucci.
Living dangerously, Gucci.
We wanted to, balance the mobility with the Relic now.
So very awesome. Great changes, Dave. Great job by the game team. We can't wait to hear your feedback as you get to play all these upcoming changes in the latest patch of Breakaway that's coming near you very soon. I'm BerserkerMIke and
Zinramu.
with Zinramu, and we hope to see you guys on the battlefield.